Okay, I'm gonna do one more video. Then I'll be gone for 2 weeks because we're going to my dad's and I can't make any videos or I'll make like my dad. So warning: this video contains side. Hello, people. So I know I just made one for the citations incident, but I wanted to do one more before I go. And like I said in the intro, I'm going to my dad's and I will be gone for 2 weeks. So I will be still I will still make but I won't be making any more videos in the past 2 weeks. So this will be the last one I'll make in the 2 weeks. So I'll be that. So and then when I'm back, I do not know what to do. I do not know what to do. But anyways, today's video. I'm going to read Squidward's side. So like I said in the video, if you forgot, warning: this video will contain, well, side. I just wanted to start off by saying that if you want an answer at the end, prepare to be disappointed. There isn't one. I was an intern at Nickelodeon Studio for a year in 2005 for a degree in animation. It wasn't paid, of course. The internship earned, but it did have a perk beyond education to adults. It may not seem like a big one, but most kids at the time will go crazy over it. Since I worked directly with the editor and animators, I got to view new episodes days before they arrive. I'll get right into it without giving too many unnecessary details. They have very recently made the SpongeBob movie. The entire staff was somewhat sapped of creativity, so it took them longer to start the season. But the delay lasted longer for more upsetting reasons. There was a problem with the issue with the season four premiere that sets everyone and everything back several months. Me and two other interns were in the editing room, along with the leading animators and sound editors. For the final cut of the episode, we received the copy that was supposed to be feel of a Krabby Patty and gathered around a screen to watch. Now, given that the final code isn't final yet, animators often put up a mock title card at the beginning. It's sort of an inside joke for us, with if only outlines weird titles being used such as how it doesn't work instead of Rockabye Bible 3, in which SpongeBob and Patrick adopt a sea together. Nothing particularly funny, just some work chuckers. So when we saw the title Squidward's Side, we didn't think it more than a mobile joke. One of the other interns did a small throat laugh at it. They were just started the happy-go-lucky music playing as normal. The story begins with Squidward practicing his cornet, hitting a few shower notes like normal. We hear SpongeBob laughing outside. Squidward stops, yelling at him to keep it down, as he has a concert that night and needs to practice. SpongeBob says okay and goes to see Sandy with Patrick. The bubble blast screen comes out and we see the end of the Squidward concert. This is where things begin to seem off. When playing, a few frames repeating themselves, but it doesn't. But it doesn't. It's supposed to be synced with the animation, so yes, that's not common. But when Squidward starts playing, the sound finishes as if it was never if the skit never happened. There's a slight mumbling in the crowd before they begin to boo him. Not the normal cartoon booing that comics and so. Mind you, you could very clearly hear malice in it. Squidward's in full frame and looks visibly afraid. The shot goes to the crowd with SpongeBob in center frame. He too is booing, which is very much unlike him. That isn't the oddest thing though. What's odd is that everyone has hyperrealistic eyes and very detailed. Clearly not saw of a real people's eyes, but something a bit more real than CGI. The pupils were red. Some of us looked at each other, obviously confused. But since we weren't the writers, we didn't question it appeared to children yet. Sarkos and Squidward sitting on the edge of his bed, looking very forlorn. The view out of his porthole window is of a night sky, so it isn't very long after the concert. The unsettling part is that at this point there's no sound, literally zero sound. Not even the feedback from the speakers in the room. It's as if the speakers were turned off, though the sound is so damn working perfectly. Squidward just sit there in the silence, blinking for about 30 seconds, then starts to sob softly. He puts his hands, aka tentacles, over his eyes and cries quietly for 4 minutes more. After a while, a sound up in the background is very gradually going from nothing to very audible. It sounds like a slight breeze through the forest. The screen slowly begins to zoom in on his face, but by slowly, I mean that it's only noticeable if you look at its shots, 10 seconds apart side by side. His sobbing gets louder and more for hurt and anger. The scene then twists a bit, as if it's twisted on himself for a split second, before going back to normal. The wind through the trees sound gets louder and more surface, as if the storm is brewing somewhere. The eerie part is that the sound of Squidward's sobbing sounded real. It was like it wasn't normal coming from the speakers, but that's the speakers themselves for holes that the sound was traveling through the other side. As good a sound as the studio likes to have, they don't have equipment to be able to produce audio of that quality. Below the sound of the wind and sobbing, very faintly audible, something sounded like laughing. It came out odd to the viewers and never lasted more than a second, so you had a hard time pinning it. You watched this quote-unquote episode twice, so pardon me if things sound too specific, but I had the time to think about it. After 40 seconds of this, the screen blurred and twisted violently, and something flashes over it, as if the single frame was replaced. The lead editor paused and rewound frame by frame. What we saw was horror. It was still a photo of a still photo of a child. He couldn't have been more than 6. His face was mangled and blooded. One eye was dangling over a pot. He was naked down to his underwear. His stomach cruelly cut open, and his entrails splayed off beside him. He was laying on some pavement that was probably a road. The most upsetting part was that there was a shadow of a photographer, but no crime tape, evidence tags, or markers of the angle. And the angle was completely off for the shot designed to be evidence. It was seen that were the person responsible for the child's death. We were, of course, mortified, but pressed on, hoping that was a sick joke. The screen flipped back to Squidward, still sobbing louder than before. Half his body's in the frame. There was now what appears to be blood running down his face and from his eyes. The blood was also done in a hyperrealistic style, looking as if you get it on the fingers if you touch the screen. The wind sounded as if it was a breeze blowing through the forest. There weren't even snapping sounds like the branches. Clapping, a deep baritone lasted for longer. Individuals intervals and came more frequently. After about 20 seconds, the screen again twisted and showed a single frame photo. I know this is. Okay, I'm just still pausing there. I know that it's dark, but you guys picked it. Well, you guys picked it, but technically it was a tie between that and BFDI 26. But technically it was SpongeBob recitation incident that one. But I wanted to do one more, and I saw that and BFDI tied. But I think the BFDI one was shorter, but I wanted it to be a longer one. So I'm gonna do two more lines, two more of the side, and then I'll stop and do part 2 later. I'm sorry if this was disgusting or like bad, or like, if it's sad for you, but that's what the story is just sad. Anyways, let's continue. The editor went reluctant to go back. We all were, but he knew he had to. This time, the photo appeared to be of a little girl, no older than the first child. She was laying on her stomach, her barricades in the pool of blood next to her. Her left eye was damaged in the same way as the boy, and she was good, except for underwear. Her entrails were piled on top of her above another cross cut along her back. Again, the body was on the street, and the photographer's shadow was visible, very similar in size and shape to the first. I had to choke back vomit, and one intern, the only female in the room, ran out. The show resumed. About 5 seconds after the second photo played, Scooter went silent. All sound cut out, like it did when the scene started. He put his tentacles down, and his eyes were now done in hyperrealism, like the others were at the beginning of the episode. They were bleeding, bloodshot, and pulsating. He just stared at the screen, as if watching the viewer. After about 10 seconds, he started sobbing. This time not covering his eyes. The sound was piercing and loud. The most viewing interesting thing of all was that his sobbing was mixed with screams. Tears and blood was dripping down his face at a heavy rate. The wind sound came back, and so did the deep voice laughing. This time was a still photo that lasted for a good 5 frames. I am going to stop there. Next part 2 come out to app when I come back. I don't know when, but when I do. I'm sorry if this is sad. I'm sorry if this is not what I always do. This is not what I always do. They're reading like a book, reading something about suicide. But I do it anyways. If you don't hear me, that's because I'm going to take. If you don't hear me. According to it's 32 weeks. But if you don't hear me after 2 weeks, it's probably because I'm taking a break. If you guys, if you have me on Discord, text me. You can text me on Discord to see if I'm okay, and to see if I am okay. If I don't text back, it's probably because I want it. It's probably because I just can't. I might either A, not see it, or B, probably asleep. But anyways, that's the end of this part 1. Bye guys. I'll see you later.